All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Always excited to have Mel join us on Thursday nights. How are you doing, Mel?
I bet it's my fault. Our internet was glitchy, and I swear that's the truth. So it's my fault we're running a little bit late.
No problem. How's
Kevin
everything been
Kevin
going?
texted me and said, "Are you coming?" I go, "Yeah, I'll be there in 2 minutes." I'm getting ready to go to Italy, so everything's kind of hectic.
When is your Italy trip? Is it next
Monday.
week? Yeah. And so there'll be a bit of a hiatus with our collabs for 2 weeks. Is that right?
9 days. We'll
9 days.
be back. I'll be back on the 18th.
Okay. So not next week, but
Following week.
the following week if you're feeling up to it. I think that's a long.
I'll fill up to it. Plus, I've got the Africa trip we've talked about, June 20th. If you're interested, call my office. If I don't get back to you after Monday, it's because I'm in Italy. And also, I've got a few more openings on the Rhine River tour. So you can call for that too. That's in September. So enough of the infomercial.
Oh, good. Well, let me share some exciting announcements real quick before we get started into all the chaos going on in the world and our politics right now. I just hit 9,000 subscribers, so I just want to say thank you to everybody that's helped me reach that goal. I did post a video yesterday. I think it's titled 9,000 subscriber giveaway. So I'm doing a giveaway for a free reading and a free 45-minute Reiki session. To enter into that contest, go onto that video that I posted yesterday. It has to be on that video and leave a comment starting with reading or Reiki, depending on what you want to be entered for. And next week on my Tuesday show, my Tarot Tuesday, usually it's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, I will pull my winners and announce them there. So we got a few days before I pulled the winners for that. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up. I do double check to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. You must be subscribed to enter. So really excited about that. I had a show with Susan Lynn on Tuesday night, and I'm already at almost 9,200. So hopefully we can hit 10K before the end of the year. That would be really awesome. So
while we're on the subject, when I get to 20K, all right, I'm going to give away 3 free Aloha shirts to my members. All right. And to my members, 3 free 1-hour sessions to my members. To my subscribers, 3 free half-hour sessions, plus 3 pendulums that are handmade.
Cool.
I will do an infomercial on her later. The stuff is really cool. She does runes and all that stuff. So I got them for lanyards for the people that are in my group going to Italy. And we had our document party. I said, you got to go online and figure out what the rune means. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So, and you're pretty close to 20K too, right?
I am. And I want to do a 20K party. Kevin, I want you to help me plan it.
Of course. I think if I hit 10K, we might have to do a party. So maybe we'll have a party around the same time. Right. All right. So where to begin with all the chaos going on in the world?
Well, let me just say something before we get started. You had said that the Democratic Party would implode, and you have been saying
the Republican Party.
The Republican Party would implode, and you've been saying it since day one.
Yeah.
And I saw it crashing and burning as well.
I think it's on fire right now.
Well, the big question is, though, is between Jim Jordan and Scalise, and that's like the devil or the devil's minion. We'd both said that McCarthy wouldn't finish out his term. Michael Moore said that too. So did Linda. All of us did. But the question is, sometimes the enemy is better than the one you don't know. So the big question is, who will they pick? I don't think it'll be Jim Jordan because, and now Trump said he wants to be Speaker of the House. Well, Trump already is Speaker of the House. He's telling all the MAGAs what to do.
I don't think Trump has said that he wants to be Speaker, but there's Republicans saying they want him to be Speaker.
But those are the MAGAs.
Right.
But my point is, will those 8 or 9 Republicans across the aisle and work with Democrats come together and say, we don't want Jim Jordan and we don't want Scalise?
It's really interesting.
Because it's kind of scary.
I don't feel Trump will not be Speaker of the House. I know people are afraid of that. No. But you know what? I don't think it's Jordan. But even if it was Jordan, it's just going to continue to make the Republican Party crash and burn even more and implode. So
that's kind of scary, because if something should happen to Biden and Harris, then he would be the president. That's very scary.
Yeah, I don't see that. But I wasn't feeling Jordan. I'd asked my guides about Steve Scalise, and I feel like that's where the energy is going to coalesce around.
Yeah, he's anti-gay, anti-abortion, anti-this, anti-that, and he's another one that's in Trump's hip pocket.
I had asked my guides about that because I feel energy around him possibly being Speaker. But when I asked my guides, I heard a loud no. He wouldn't be Speaker. And I feel like what's going to happen is, there was one guy that they were talking about in the news. He hasn't announced yet. Name's Tom something. They were showing the photos of it, and he was really standing out. I don't remember what his last name is.
Won't be Matt Gaetz, that's for sure.
No, but I don't think he's crazy MAGA either. But I saw energy around him, and I almost feel like too, like it's gonna take a little while before they get a speaker, because it's just going to be a shit show for the next few weeks. And
can we say
so it's going to take a while, and it's going to be even more than the 15 votes McCarthy had. It's going to take somebody a long time. I feel like somebody's going to have to broker a deal with Democrats to get the next speaker elected, and it will ultimately be good. That's the only way.
They absolutely will. I do.
Yes, I think it's Tom Cole. Tom Cole. I had a good feeling about him. Sorry, Mel.
Who?
Tom Cole. They were showing photos of people that I think were in leadership positions that could possibly.
Tom Cole?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
About possibly being Speaker, although I don't think he's said any interest around it. But I had a good feeling when I saw him. But I feel like right now the energy's around Scalise.
I pulled a card for Cole, and it looks like pretty good, actually.
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, the world. So, he might be coerced into it. I do see Trump as Speaker of the clink.
Don't scare everybody like that.
Speaker of the court, who will be gagged.
Yes, yes.
My guy showed me when he opened his mouth again, this judge is not going to put up with any BS and will hold him in contempt. Yay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the D.C. judge, Chutkin, he goes, I think the case is the 16th, where they're discussing a gag order. And I feel she'll limit what he can say, too, and be very strict. In New York, we know that Trump can't control himself. So I was feeling like major sanctions in that case, and sanctions in D.C. also. But I think she's really considering moving the January 6th court date sooner if he is going to threaten people.
Plus, I see criminal charges against him in New York because he's been found guilty of the civil charges, and they're going to refer that over to the state of New York for criminal fraud. I see. Plus to the feds for IRS fraud. And they were about Hunter Biden. They're not going to be able to deceive, distract, and all that crap anymore. Anyway, so, and as far as Ukraine, about defunding Ukraine, I see Ukraine getting money through backdoor channels. Good. European Union will come together and help them, sending them weapons. And as we speak, Biden is working on ways to continue to help Ukraine. So that's what
I felt like some of the NATO countries really having to come together and give more resources at this time, just because it's kind of chaotic. But I do feel more funding coming for Ukraine. We have like 40 days for the budget again, because they did a CR for it, and I don't know. I feel like it might be a bit hairy.
What is CR?
I feel like there might be a short shutdown.
I don't know what CR stands for.
A continued resolution. So
it's like Al.
Don't get Mel started on Al. Yeah, so they have to go and vote again on it in a month.
It
And
just
with
shows the MAGAs
having,
don't give one flying damn about their constituents or anything. They
oh
just
yeah,
want to, that little group wants to take power. And this is very reminiscent about what happened in Nazi Germany, because Hitler was never elected chancellor. He put his Nazis in control of the parliament slowly, and then they made him chancellor and he declared martial law.
mm.
So it's very reminiscent of what the MAGAs are doing, that small group trying to take over
Oh
that.
yeah.
But they won't succeed. Justice will prevail.
It's needed for them to cause this shit show right now.
I agree.
It's all part of what's planned, the implosion of the Republican Party, and so that they have to start. The Republican Party is the shaky tower in the tarot right now. It's crumbling and falling down because it wasn't built on a strong foundation. It was built on a foundation of hate and bigotry. Um, and so it's got to crumble, and then it will lead to a better Republican Party that can be built on a strong, solid foundation for our future. But their old, um, their old, their old ways, we're moving past that, and it's no longer, um, it no longer serves our country. So
There's going to be a
it's going
lot
to
coming to
crumble.
the light about them.
Oh
The
yeah.
stuff, it can be good or bad, but it's going to be a lot of negative stuff coming up. But you've been
Mhm.
saying it all along. Many of us have, that this is the implosion of it all.
Oh
So
yeah.
we shall see.
But anyway, so we have the budget in about 40 days. I know somebody had asked about that.
Yes, we
They
will.
don't have a speaker. I don't even think that they can vote on it. I mean, they have a
Pro tempore, I think.
right, which he doesn't really have a whole lot of power. Um, I felt like, and I said before, I felt like we were having a shutdown, a short shutdown, and it feels like with all this drama with the speaker, we um, we might have we might have a short shutdown, but it's really not going to be good for Republicans to have a shutdown around the holidays.
Well, I mean, it's going to affect travel. It's going to affect everything.
Hmm.
Parks are shut down. Everything's shut down. IRS is shut down. They might want it to keep IRS off Trump, but now we know why Trump didn't want to reveal his tax records, because if they did, it would show all the
Hmm.
bullhot.
Well, the essential, they have money for a while for the essential um, workers. They just don't get paid for it.
Right.
But all the non-essential things, they get furloughed until they can bring them back. So, but it's going to hurt a lot of people, and especially around the holidays when people
I
really
know.
need that money. It's not going to do the Republicans well, and it continues this implosion of the Republican
Not
Party.
to change the subject, but real quick, everybody please send prayers to Savannah for her mental healing. But also my friend, her grandson, he's just a newborn, has to have a liver transplant
Oh,
because he's got something biliary, I forget what it is. But please just send healing energy and prayers to baby E. She asked me
oh,
not to say his name, but I can say baby E. And so I feel like he'll get a liver or a piece thereof and will survive. So sorry, I just had to interject that.
no problem. I'm sending them both a lot of love.
Thank you. Are we
All
ready?
right.
Are we ready
Yes.
to get to these
We're already sort of covering some of them.
I know.
There's big news. I hadn't heard it posted on the TV yet, but I saw Midas Touch had brought it up about Trump found to share nuclear sub secrets with Australian billionaire who share the info with other foreign officials.
Remember when I said that my guide showed me that he had shared that information with members of foreign government, and
Oh
that he
yeah.
might have gone through a second or third party to do it? And here we are.
Mm,
But I see money exchange under the table for that as well. There was some kind of political favor exchanged.
mm-hmm.
So he's going to say it's not treason, but I see investigation into that, and I see absolutely. And Linda Grindle had said years ago that he's going to be in trouble for treason.
Mm-hmm.
You said kind of the same thing.
I've said the same thing.
So here we are.
Mm.
Um,
And
Yeah,
this is just like the tip of the iceberg. It's much more massive, and so much more is going to be exposed about top secret information that he shared um, and with our adversaries. It will come out,
this is
but
going
this
to
is
be
the
one of the
start of that.
icebergs that sunk the Titanic.
Oh, yeah. The one of many icebergs,
One
right?
of the many icebergs. But what kind of president would share our secrets like that? I'm
Yeah.
sure there was some kind of favor under the table. And
Mm,
I'm sure that now they know with whom the Australian billionaire shared them. And they're going to be questioning this Australian billionaire. And I see him held on charges as well. His money won't buy him out of it.
oh, the billionaire, yeah.
And now we know where a lot of that dark money comes from, too.
Mm, okay.
Or that's one of the sources. Um, my guides are telling me that the Australian billionaire is going to be investigated. United States is going to work with Australia, and I see this Australian billionaire at some point in jail.
Okay.
So, but they're going to, but the other part of that is they'll say, here again, if you tell us what he told you and what you told them, then work with us and we'll do downward departure. We'll charge you with this instead of this.
Right, right. Oh,
So,
yeah, there's definitely going to be cooperation, I feel.
and my guides had shown me a long time ago, there's a whistleblower coming from somewhere, at least two or
Hmm.
three, that's going to say that Trump gave these documents to somebody or to foreign powers. And here we are.
I feel like they already know of some.
They do. They do.
It's already, and there's going to be more charges. I've always felt the document case being the most serious for Trump. Now, it doesn't seem that way because we have a judge that was bought and paid for by Trump overseeing it, but she won't be there
It's going to be removed.
long term. And I see more charges being filed at some point. Um,
Yeah, I do too. Um,
mhm.
the other thing is, and my psychic light bulb just went on.
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling somewhere in the government, somebody either has or is going to, but I say has in the past, planted some false documents that were supposed to be secret that really weren't to see who Trump would give them to and da 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 da. And that's going to come forward too. So in other
CC,
words,
right?
if I give you a fake document that says, it's a military secret and you give it to somebody, all
Hmm.
right? So whoever gave me that fake document that I gave to you, we knew it was fake, but we were setting you up to see what you would do with it.
Exactly, like setting a trap.
Correct. Correct.
CC Ryder says, according to the New York Times, the Australian billionaire who is a member of Mar-a-Lago, the one that they're talking about that he was talking about the top secret information, has met with Jack Smith's team is on the witness list.
He wants to save his ass.
So there's already been a deal made then.
Well, a little bit of one.
Yeah.
But Trump will say it's a lie, it's fake, they're out to get me, it's a witch hunt.
Will Trump be charged with treason?
Yes, resoundingly.
I feel yes too. I almost don't know if he'll be alive when he's charged for it, though. Unfortunately,
I hope he is alive to see it. You know what? Death
I
is. I don't wish him dead. Don't get me wrong.
right.
But death is an easy way out.
I agree. All right.
Entertainment purposes only.
For entertainment purposes only. Thank you. Oh, so what do we? How is Do we feel like this is it for Matt Gaetz?
Well, the MAGAs, some of the MAGAs are really, really ticked off at
Oh,
him because they knew that they could control McCarthy. And I think people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan, a lot of those people are going to be angry because, Trump was in control of the House through McCarthy. And so, Matt Gaetz just put another nail in his own coffin. And
Do you
while
think
I'm at
they're
it,
going to, do you think they're going?
I see him under investigation again. That hasn't gone away, by the way.
I agree. Do you feel like because he outed McCarthy from the speakership, that all the Republicans are furious with him, besides the 8 that voted with him? Do you feel like they're going to replace him?
I see him expelled, and here's what came through. My guides told me it's kind of biblical.
Mm-hmm.
What he did to his neighbor shall be done to him.
Okay.
And my one guide, Grey Wolf, and Nicodemus, I got a guy, Nicodemus. Nicodemus is chuckling. What
Mm-hmm.
he did to his neighbor shall be done to him. So
I felt I had asked if they were going to throw him out. I do see him leaving. I don't think it's because he outed McCarthy, though.
Well, they might. I mean, it might either say resign or we'll do what we need to do to expel you.
I feel like they're treading very carefully because they don't want to piss off their base. Even though some of them are so mad right now,
A lot of the base is angry.
Yeah, but a lot of the crazy MAGAs in the Republican Party really weren't fans of McCarthy. So I think that's where they're cautious about kicking him out right now. But at some point, and maybe it's when Republicans and Democrats have to work together and we get some bipartisanship, they're not going to put up with it anymore. And it's going to further this division within the Republican Party, the civil war that's going on with them.
I pulled a 2 of spades.
Mm.
God, it took me years to learn to do these things. A 2 of spades would mean what seems to be successful now will for Matt Gaetz, and he succeeded in getting McCarthy out, but actually did a bunch of people a favor in a way, but will be a vexation to his future. In other words, what he thought he won, but in the future, it's going to come back to bite him in the butt big time.
Okay.
It'll be a vexation to his future.
But yeah, Matt Gaetz is going down. I agree with you, Mel. I feel like scandals of the past resurfacing, where he thought maybe he got out of something, more information coming out and incriminating him. I always felt a woman would come and be a really credible witness, and that being Matt Gaetz' downfall.
And I just pulled another card, the eight of clubs, which means calamities. Lots of calamity, lots of misadventure, lots of undoing at his own hand. The eight of clubs is not a very pleasant card to pull.
Okay.
Unless it's in conjunction with other stuff. But it's really, really, really going to look bad for Matt Gaetz, and it's going to start hitting soon.
Yeah. Well, and I think January 6th stuff isn't here yet either, and that's going to hit him. So he's got a lot of challenges he's fighting off.
He certainly does. Right now, he's feeling victorious. Let him try to revel in that, but there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out about him, a lot of secrets, a lot of things that aren't going to look so savory, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
We kind of touched on this a little bit. Do you feel Jim Jordan has a chance to be speaker?
If for some crazy reason he is speaker, they'll get rid of him too.
I almost wonder too if, like I said, I feel like there might be around Scalise. Now, I don't think that they're going to be able to vote him in, but if they do, I feel like it's very short term, like McCarthy, because these 8 that just expelled him, they're emboldened right now. They think that they have all the power, and if you don't do what they want, you don't go with their agenda, they'll vote you out. And Democrats are not going to save the Republicans. They'll let them eat their own.
But there's 8 or 9 Republicans I see reaching across the aisle, and they're going to work with Democrats. I think at some point, so that Jim Jordan doesn't become speaker. If he does, he won't stay there.
Yeah.
And there's no way that they can get them out, because they have to have a majority to expel. And guess what? If you've got all the Democrats on the side of those 8 or 9 Republicans, there's no way that the other Republicans are going to be able to get rid of those 8 or 9. I think the 8 or 9 Republicans that reached across the aisle to get rid of McCarthy and vote with the Dems, you know what? I think they had a set.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I threw some cards on Jim Jordan. I feel like they might try to steal it to make him the speaker. because he's making deals in partnerships with people. He's kind of the thief in the night. He's got a plan, a strategy, and I think Matt Gaetz and the MAGAs want Jim Jordan as the speaker, but he ends with heartbreak and disappointment. So I
I
don't think
pulled the
so.
4 of spades, which means though that there's a lot of people looking in with suspicion. I pulled the ace of spades, which means a lot of assaults behind the scenes that are going on against him, and that's going to happen pretty quickly. And I pulled the 10 of spades, which means a lot of fighting, a lot of quarreling. The guy's got spades all around him.
Yeah.
6 of spades, which would be a theft. He thinks he might steal the house, but it's going to come back to bite him.
Yeah.
I mean, the 3 of hearts, which is vexation. He vexed himself. I've never seen cards look this bad.
Okay. It doesn't look good for Jordan.
Right. For a while, it might look as if he's successful, but ultimately, according to what I'm seeing here, he won't be.
Yeah, Karen says no, Democrats will not save them. Your clowns, your circus. And I'm glad that the Democrats allowed this to happen with McCarthy. It needed to happen. I know it's scary with the shutdown, but the fact that Democrats saved the day and did the CR bill so the government didn't shut down, and then McCarthy has the gall to blame Democrats and put it all on Democrats why we almost didn't get the budget passed. Why should they save him?
Especially when 8 or 9 reached across the aisle to work with Democrats.
Exactly.
And as you were talking, and I saw this question, I wrote down strategic. So, Karen, that's a good point. The Democrats are being strategic.
Whereas, I think it's good that they finally grew up here.
Whereas the MAGAs thought they were being strategic, but they were being chaotic and stupid. Their strategy will backfire. The Dems have a strategy, trust me.
Oh, yeah. And if McCarthy would have reached out to Democrats and made a deal, they would have kept him in there. His own undoing is his fault.
I think you're right to a degree. However, I think when he stood up and said that January 6th was horrible, and then 2 days later was at Mar-a-Lago with his head up Trump's you-know-what, that really turned off a lot of people. People don't.
If he would have came across, though, and did guarantees for them with Ukraine funding and for, passing the budget, which they already agreed upon with the debt ceiling, and now Republicans want to cut the budget even more. I think Democrats would have saved him. He would have had enough. Also, too, talking about the impeachment sham that's kind of going on.
That's not going to go anywhere. You know what? It's if they drop articles of impeachment, number one, they don't have anything to go on. Number two, it'll never get to the Senate floor. McConnell will work together with Schumer to block it. I think McConnell's hanging in there because he knows what's going on in the Republican Party. And I think he's afraid if he dies or gives up, that it's going to be a real you-know-what show. And I think he's pulling on a lot of the moderate Republicans. I'm going to say pulling on a lot of the moderate Republicans to say we cannot let these MAGAs win, or Trump for that matter.
Yeah. But you know what, though, too? I think I talked about this on Tuesday when I had Susan Lynn on. I almost felt like I agree with you. McConnell wants to hold out to keep the party together, at least in the Senate. But I almost feel like either he has another episode that forces him out, or not wishing it, but the health challenges.
No, I see him gone. I see him gone. You're right, but just not right now.
Okay, I was feeling like it might be sooner rather than later, so I guess we'll see.
Well, I think he's already meeting. He and Biden are friends.
Yeah,
I think they're talking behind closed doors already. I think Biden's meeting with a lot of moderate Republicans behind closed doors already.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, they're coming up with a plan.
They're trying to come up with a plan.
I just looked up Cole. I didn't know he was a member of the Chickasaw Nation. I did not know that he's a Native American. I'm not saying I like his politics, but I don't know much about him. But anyway.
Michael wants to know, will Trump become interim speaker? I think we already answered it. No, I don't see it.
He will. He'll become Speaker of the Clink.
They're talking about, he's not decided yet, but they're talking about him coming to DC next week. And I heard it on the news, and when I heard it, I got a strong message from my guides. If he goes to DC, he is going to regret it, is what I felt. So it feels like if he goes, he's going to cause some trouble, and he's shit's going to get really going to hit the fan, is what I feel, and he will live to regret it if he goes to DC.
I think that back to Tom, the guy we're talking about, it
Tom.
looks like, Tom Cole. It looks like,
Tom Cole.
It looks, what I'm seeing here is that he's more kind of an old order Republican.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't like that politics, but, I think he's going to be a very strong influence in the House. That's what I see.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a card. Let's see.
I did. I pulled a 7 of diamonds, which means it's really good fortune. It's the luckiest card there is in the playing card deck.
Ooh.
And then I see hands shaking, which would be he would be willing to reach across the aisle and work with Dems, because I pulled the King of Hearts, and that's hand shaking. I mean, not shaking, but handshake, reaching across the aisle and working together.
I had 3 cards fly out when I was shuffling. The 6 of Wands, which is celebrating a milestone. This could be like that victory parade, because the house is so unstable and unbalanced. And I could see, if you think of this as the 2 sides, reaching across aisles, and the Magician. So that's manifesting that. It feels like, I don't think he's going to be the first choice, and so there might be some drama to get him there. But ultimately, he very well could be speaker, because it feels like he's got a lot of burdens and stresses and obstacles because of the crazies in the party. But then they make a deal, and and he's victorious with it. So I like his energy. I felt good about him when I saw him. I wasn't really feeling anybody else except for possibly Scalise, but my guide said no.
My cyclic light bulb went on when you were talking.
Yeah.
And here's what. I saw Dems cutting a deal, or trying to cut a deal, with moderate Republicans to vote in Tom Cole, because the Dems, they've only got how much of a lead do the
Dems are at 213 or 214. They need, I think, only like 4 or 5 seats.
Okay, so how many? What does the Dems have?
I think they're at 214, and Republicans are at 221 or 222, something like that.
So if the Democrats can cut a deal with moderate Republicans to vote in Tom Cole, yay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think he'll broker the deal too.
They only need 8 votes, and I don't know what happens if there's a tie.
There is no tie. Somebody gets 218, and then they win, unless not everybody's present to vote. I also got a hit too, and I don't think it's the most likely hit, but I almost felt like too, if Republicans aren't careful enough, Hakeem Jeffries might be the next Speaker of the House.
You know what? At some point, he will be Speaker of the House. My guide showed me that when I first saw him speak in front of the House, and he will be Speaker of the House at some point. I just don't think it's right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the most likely outcome, but I feel energy behind it too. So, and also,
my guides are showing me 222. And so I think that might be a number. That's why I was asking.
They might have 222.
No. 222 votes at some point.
Oh, I got you.
So the Dems working together with moderate Republicans. So if there's 214 and 8, then that's 222. Duh. So that's when 212 Dems. Thank you, Reinhold. I just love Reinhold. He's got it together.
So they need 218. So you need a shift of Republicans can lose.
They need 6.
4 votes.
But I see 8.
Okay.
I'll bet you there's going to be 7 or 8, about 8 Republicans. I got a funny feeling about it. I could be wrong.
I could totally see it. Well, and if you had 8 Republicans, it would be, and all Democrats coming together, that would be 220. So, and that would be enough to vote in a new speaker. So,
So, yeah, that would be 213 Republicans, right? And 212 and 8s, 221.
Yeah.
I don't think the moderate Republicans will vote for Joachim Jeffries right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. It will take a while.
But
I
they
guess
will
it
vote
depends
for
on how long we go without a speaker, because I think it could go on for a while.
It will, but they will get together and vote for Cole. I think. I could be wrong. And if I
Yeah.
am, I'll say I'm wrong.
I'm just saying I felt energy around him, and maybe Scalise gets in there for a little bit, and then they oust him, and then there's like nobody else that can the Republicans will coalesce behind. So some Republicans, the more moderate in swing districts, have to make a deal with Democrats, and maybe that's their choice.
Well, I asked my guides to affirm what you were saying about Tom Cole, and that's why I pulled those cards, and my psychic light bulb went on. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm hearing what Kevin is saying is correct.
Okay. MSNBC said that Jordan just announced bid for speaker. We knew that.
I have one thing to say about
that. Right. And this is a good hint. I wrote his name down because I had a bit of a hit with him when I saw him. His Santos may be gone soon.
He will be.
I do feel he'll be gone. He had his I think it was his treasurer for his campaign when he ran, just pled guilty and said that she would make a deal and speak against Santos in court. And he's very nervous now. I actually feel like he might resign before it happens.
I don't know. He's too much of a narcissist, but
I feel energy around it.
But years ago there was a wonderful opera singer called Beverly Sills.
Mm-hmm.
And now, who did you say that was going to talk about? Was going to come forward? Who was it? You said there was
I think it was the treasurer.
Well, here's what Spirit gave me. She's going to sing opera like Beverly Sills. In other words, she's going to tell everything she knows about Santos. And it's pretty.
Right. I agree. I agree. And I feel energy of him being scared right now.
I can hear her going, ah.
Yes, Becky. Chaos, chaos, chaos.
Well,
yes.
Becky, hi,
more
Becky.
Chaos coming.
Becky's coming to Africa with us. She's coming on the Rhine. Hi, Becky. Well, Kevin, you and I had both said, let's buckle up our seatbelts. It's going to be right. My friend Beverly, the medium, said that too. So
okay.
It's going to be a real circus.
Yeah.
And
I think go ahead, Mel.
I think all of us in the community should go to Washington, D.C. and put a ticket booth up and sell tickets to the circus, because we'd make a lot of money on that.
Yeah. I'll just say it feels we talk about chaos, and I know so many people in the community get nervous, and it's important to know that things may feel like very unstable right now, and you might get a lot of anxiety. It's so important right now, though, just to breathe and to ground and to find that center, because it's all going to be okay. The chaos is happening because it's part of what is written, what is planned, the Republican Party imploding to rebuild into a better party. So we're going to all be okay. It's just the next few months, the next year is just going to be a bit out of control.
For a while, it's going to be as confusing as a tossed salad in a tumble dryer. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's going to get quite chaotic. And for a while, it's going to look like the MAGAs will win a few battles, but they will not win the war. I mean, Trump is coming across as unhinged. All right. I think that, his little MAGA group is his MAGA group, but the other ones are falling apart. And so you're right. It'll be a wild ride. It'll get chaotic, and a lot of people are going to be afraid. Don't let fear hold you back. Remember your voices, people. Speak up.
Yeah.
The democracy will prevail. Justice will be done, and truth will win out. That's what my guides tell me.
Yeah. And it's not, you don't want to hurt yourself or put yourself in a state of resistance by tapping into the fear or the anger, because of everything going on. Use that as a positive force to speak truth to power and to, stand up for what's right and to get people out to vote because it's so important because our democracy is at stake. It's really important to step out of the fear, but use it to motivate you for action.
I mean, I get angry about the hypocrisy, but I
Mm-hmm.
use it as a motivating force.
Of course. And that's
Absolutely.
what it is. And you know what, though, too? It's like the American people are going to be so turned off by the Republican Party next year because of this circus going on. So it's all happening for a reason because we have all of it. We're coming up to a point where with the climate change, and we need to make different decisions and change our course. So to me, it almost feels destined with the Democrats in 2024 because we're about at that turning point. So it really kind of has to be this shit show to get people out to vote, and to keep Democrats in power.
I think that the MAGAs might throw in a shill, like a candidate to run as a Democrat, but really as a shill for Republicans to try
They
to
already have that.
It will not work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you who's working behind the scenes to get rid of people like Matt Gaetz and even McCarthy and Marjorie Taylor Greene is Liz Cheney. We haven't at the end of her yet.
I agree 100%. She's going to be critical in rebuilding and rebranding the Republican Party.
I don't like her politics, but she had guts.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for the super chat, Robin. Your question was the next one up on my list. But thank you. She says, Maura Healey, governor of Massachusetts, will she ever be elected to higher office? I felt senator as soon as I saw that.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't feel president, but senator of Massachusetts.
Absolutely.
That feels really good.
Totally.
All right. Oh, and then somebody asked about Tom Cole. Yeah.
We beat that one.
I just posted in the chat though that an announcement came out that he's absolutely not interested in speaker. And like I said, maybe he's not right now. But if chaos and we don't have a speaker for a couple months, people are going to get desperate and they'll change their minds. So I don't know. I just felt energy around
now. We said there might be somebody else there for a while.
In between, yeah.
They're going to come to him again and ask him to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Liz Cheney just gave a speech too. She said Republicans need to stop voting for these idiots. Yeah.
I agree with her on that one.
Yeah. I don't agree with a whole bunch of her politics. I don't really agree with any of her politics, but
right.
At least she stood up for what was right, and it cost her a seat. But I agree with you, Mel. Her political career is not over. I feel her back in the House.
Oh, there's my friend Mimi Rose. Hey, Mimi, I got the little thing you gave me. It's hanging up in my office. It's so cool. She gave me a little tchotchke.
Yeah, Mimi's sweet.
I just love Mimi. I love everybody, but Mimi's cool. Everybody's cool. But hi, Mimi. Hi,
right. All right. Songson. Is Ivanka and her dad on speaking terms right now?
Only if Trump can coerce her into saying what he wants her to say, but she's been warned not to. She's been warned to tell the truth. So, I mean, within that family, it is a real shit show. Pardon my language.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, huge. And so,
I feel like, are they on speaking terms? Not really. Not anything with depth.
It ain't nothing to write home about.
Yeah, their relationship seems a bit stalled at the moment because she's flipping on him and saving herself. And
that's right.
So I actually feel like she feels sorry for her dad. But she's going to save herself, but her dad's mad at her is what I'm picking up.
But I think on some level, well, never mind. She knows what he's all about inside too.
Right, she does.
Oh, I like the next one's good.
We talked about this a little bit. How far will the judge go to force Trump to follow the gag order?
Well, this judge in New York already warned him, and right after that, he went and he attacked the judge, and then he left town because he probably knew they'd have to extradite him back to New York. I see contempt charges there. And I also see contempt charges in Georgia. And, you know, and also with Chutkan. These judges are not going to mess around. And if they have to put him under house arrest or put him in a jail cell to shut his mouth, they will do it.
Okay. Do you feel like that's where things are going to lead to?
He opens his mouth one more time. I think that judge in New York is already thinking about to himself. You know, they say that judge is a nice guy and that he's pretty lenient. But when he said what he said about Trump, that shows that judge was angry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you don't want to mess with the dude. And you know what? I see contempt charges, and they're coming hard and they're coming fast.
I agree with the contempt charges. I don't necessarily feel jail.
I see them leading him out. Like the Secret Service can't have anything to say about that. I see deputies leading him out.
Okay.
I see him detained. And they're going to keep him there, and they're not going to allow the media in so he can open his mouth.
Yeah.
All right. And his lawyers are going to tell him. His lawyers are already telling him to shut up. Notice how he became very, very quiet. Notice how he became very, very quiet in Georgia after he hired that trial lawyer. That trial lawyer in Georgia knows what he's doing. You know, he's Georgian. He's from Georgia. He knows what he's doing. So, Rebecca says duct tape, please. No, how about just
a ball gag?
Thank you. Crazy glue. I don't know.
But I felt more sanctions, and in the DC case, I felt like very well that the case might be moved up to December or January.
It will be. And Eileen Looscan is going to be gone.
Yeah. All right. Crazy Shark wants to know what we see for the economy and interest rates.
Well, I think speculation on the government shutting down again could, you know, make the stock market go crazy and, you know, whatever, but that won't last very long. And, you know, even if the government does shut down, and if it does, I don't think it will, but if it doesn't, it won't last long. You know, the election is a long way off, and a lot can happen in 10 months. Or a year. And there will be a lot happening. Trust me on that. It's not going to look good for the MAGA Republicans. I can tell you that much right now. I see the Democrats back in charge of the House and the Senate and the presidency. So the economy, I think, with the speculation about government shutting down, blah blah blah, it might cause the dollar to lose a little bit of value, but actually more towards spring of 2024, I see the economy coming up. I really do.
Me too.
And my guides, I'm intuiting, if you will, that the next few times, maybe one more time that the Feds meet, they'll raise interest rates and then they'll bring them down. And that's to get the housing market going, which will help stimulate the economy. Yeah. So I see more properties on the market because right now there's no inventory, but there will be.
Yeah, I felt, and I agree with you. I think it's the uncertainty with the budget because it felt like it might be a bit hard throughout the end of this year. But, and not to say that the economy is bad or there's a collapse or anything. I'm not picking that up. But it just feels like around the holidays,
right?
Some people not being able to afford like the Christmases that they had before, and so people being a little bit more tight with their spending.
And that's not
the. It feels like people are cautious, but I agree with you 100%. It feels like spring of next year, through to the election, the economy feels strong. I feel like by the next election, the interest rate might drop a little bit too.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Rebecca says, can you imagine how he would use being in jail? Yeah, he would be a martyr. He would absolutely love the photo op of him being arrested. But can you imagine how deep he would lose his shit if he was actually jailed? He would go crazy.
But here's the deal. He could try being taken out as a photo op. You see what they did to me, blah, blah, blah. They locked me up. But if he keeps opening his mouth, they'll hold him in jail.
Yeah.
But if he's detained, and I think he will be,
Okay.
they're not going to let any press in there so he can open his mouth. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the worst things that you can do to Donald Trump is not let him be heard.
Right. Right.
You know, when you're detained, you have rights, but you know,
I just feel them being very cautious about. I see them walking on eggshells to arrest him. Now, I'm not saying I agree with this. People get so mad at me when I say it, but they're cautious because they don't want another insurrection, and because things are so, anything. If Trump was locked up, there probably would be some violence. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but that's what they're cautious about. But they also know too, if he's allowed out and, um, spewing this hate and getting people all incited and all in an uproar, people's lives are in danger too. So what do we do to shut him up?
He is giving the middle finger to the courts.
Yeah.
Any of us that did that would be held in contempt so fast your head would swim.
Right.
Well, I understand that if they do, what about violence? What about this? Well, if there's violence and he's behind it, he's going to be indicted again, because the same way that he's indicted for January the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these judges aren't, they know what they're doing. And you know what? They're not going to put up with shenanigans, except for Loose Cannon. The rest of them will not put up with shenanigans, not at all. And he's gotten away with too much, and these judges are knowing it, and they're going to be like, no, we are not doing this. Our courtrooms are not a circus. These are courts of law, and they are to be held in honor, even if you don't agree.
I agree. We could agree to disagree on that one, Mel.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
I said, I'm with you. Like, if it were up to me, he should have been locked up months ago. But that's just what I pick up. Like, they're just being extra cautious. But
I agree with extra cautious. I get that.
But you know what's going to happen? Then what do they do when somebody gets killed?
But the extra cautious is fear-based. And
I understand.
And we've got to step out of fear-based and let it move us forward. And I'm telling you, all it takes is one judge to hold him in contempt, and the rest will follow suit. I understand. I agree with what you're saying about the fear and why they don't want to, but at some point they're going to step out of that fear.
Yeah. Well, they might need to. Like I said, I've always felt a bit, and I don't want to sit on this topic too long. I don't like putting energy into it, but I had a weird feeling about Georgia and maybe some violence being thwarted there. Like, it feels like it's all okay, but it feels like a close call. I've been saying that for a little bit.
I'm sure the FBI is on full time and a lot of Secret Service. So I agree with you. There's going to be a lot of violence thwarted, but when they start to see what happened to these insurrectionists, and if they create or try to create insurrection, it's okay to have your freedom of speech and your freedom of assembly. It's not okay to riot and try to overturn the government and hurt people.
No, I agree.
And I see if they try that, they're going to be tried and they're going to be jailed as well.
Okay. All right.
This
is a good question. Reinhold wants to know, will the Trump campaign run out of money because of all the legal expenses? I feel like the finances and the donations being tight, but I also see it hurting Republicans because Trump isn't sharing any of that money with any of the other candidates, and he's receiving all of it to pay for his legal bills. So it's really going to hurt Republicans in 2024. That's my hope.
And that's another thing they're going to be looking at Trump for. My psychic abilities tell me, my light bulb, because he took money supposedly for this and used it for his defense. And he used it for things he shouldn't have used it for. And I see charges brought against him for mail fraud, both in New York because of overinflating properties, but this very thing we're talking about, the same thing Bannon got charged with. He put money supposedly for a wall and used it for something else. There are going to be people that will come forward that say that Trump didn't use that money what it was earmarked.
Oh, yeah. And misappropriating his campaign money, too.
That's correct. So Trump is not using his own money for this. He's using money that people's donating.
Mm-hmm.
So, Reinhardt, Kevin had said this, and Kevin, you've said this all along, that his monetary empire would crumble.
Oh
And I
yeah,
said it
Trump,
too.
Trump
Here
Tower
we
falls.
are. The judge said there's going to dissolve all this stuff, and they're going to confiscate a lot of that and the money they get from it used to pay back the taxes he owes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's going to totally. They're going to have to liquidate everything.
And
Everything
he's
that's
not
not
as rich as
taken.
he says he is.
Yeah, and that's going to come out here soon too.
Correct.
I heard there was a report that I think this is like the first time he hasn't been on the Forbes like top 400 list or something of richest people, and you know that that's got to really deflate his ego. But it also goes into the only reason why he was getting on the list is because he was, um, of the fraud and fake evaluating his assets and overinflating his assets. Um,
I take perverse pleasure in seeing his name on that list.
well, and it's not even just New York, although Tish James is going to cost him a lot, and I feel even more than the 250 million that they're talking about. Feels like it's more, but and then the IRS and the IRS, there's going to be criminal charges coming up against him too.
Absolutely. In New York, with the state of New York, because each state has its own IRS, not IRS, but its own tax system,
Mm-hmm.
its own, IRS is federal, but they're,
The state.
Department of Tax in that state. Yeah. They're going to go after him criminally for that in New York, but also federally, I see, for tax. Not
yeah, I
because
agree.
they do for Hunter Biden for not declaring stuff on tax, and they don't do it for Trump, then Hunter Biden has got a really, 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 really good thing to say. Wait, you did it to me, but you didn't do it to him.
Right.
So,
the whole tax things with Hunter Biden is crazy anyway because he's already paid what he owed and the fees with it too.
Yeah,
so.
Trump never did.
Right.
So I keep seeing criminal indictments against Trump in New York and federally for the tax stuff.
What do you feel about this? Because the energy feels like intense, like more indictments could come soon. Do you feel like there might be more January 6th indictments for those in Trump's
Absolutely.
circle, like within like the next month?
Within the next couple of months, yes.
Okay. I feel like something could happen in October. Like it feels like, or maybe maybe it's Arizona or one of the states going after the the fake electors and that. But I feel more indictments coming soon.
Kevin, there's so much big stuff that's going to be happening over the next few months. It's going to be like each time you think that you've topped it, something else tops it.
Right. Bridget wants to know, she said, "Hi, Kevin and Mel. Thank you both for sharing your gifts and insight. My question is, will politicians need to show their qualifications before running for future office?"
I think in German that would be Brigitte. I don't know if it's Bridget or Brigitte, whatever. Go ahead. I don't think there are any qualifications to run for future office. I don't think there's any educational requirements. I don't think you have to go to law school. I don't even think you have a high school diploma.
I feel like there being restrictions and like if you announce that you're running, you have to show your tax returns. So like more regulations being put in place to run, and if you're a convicted convict, you can't run for president. There's going to be some things put in there. I feel
what I see are people who want to run being vetted. Yes, here's your tax returns. Did you do this? Did you do that? Da, da, da. But for them to say that you need a certain educational requirement, la 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 la, that could be discriminatory, because that those elected posts are open to anybody who wants to run. That's part of our democracy.
Education.
Oh, Rebecca! She said she's so cool. You got it, Rebecca. You got it, Becky. Yeah, Lauren Boebert. Babies, Bibles, guns, and Jesus. As she gets groped.
Sherry says to hold office, you should have to pass a citizenship test. I agree.
Well, most of those politicians wouldn't even answer the first. They would miss the first question, or one of the questions, and that is, what were the 13 original states? Not colonies, but states, and they would never get it.
Well, do you think Trump would know?
3 branches of government.
Yeah, Trump wouldn't even know the answer to that.
Trump would be like, he can't even please. But Sherry, I like that. Hi, Voices from the Swamp. Sherry, how are you? Yeah, I think they should pass the citizenship test. But anyway, I see them
Yeah.
being yes.
Yeah. Well, this is a good question. Kira G says, "Will the border issue be resolved?" Big crisis right now in the news.
I haven't heard about the crisis. What is it?
I hadn't heard. I know that there's a bunch of migrants crossing the border, but I haven't heard of anything else.
Let me
I
Google it and see.
I do feel I don't think it's this year, but I feel like next year, even before the election, that there's some bipartisanship to address the border issue. It's really going to be an issue until we get immigration reform. Um, and I've always kind of felt like the U.S. Giving more resources to Mexico and some of the Central American countries to stop the surge of the migrants and to really help get a lot of those cartels out of the picture. But it's going to take some time.
Well, a lot of them aren't coming from Mexico. They're coming through Mexico, but they're coming from
Right.
unstable countries in Central and South America. But it just says, you're right, Kevin, there's just an influx of it. And, it's funny. The right-wing media, they blame Biden, the Dems, they, whatever. But, we shouldn't have to put up a wall to keep people out. There's got to be a better way.
Well, that's interesting, too, because somebody just said Biden is building another section of the wall on the border.
Okay, I didn't know that. But
I didn't know that either.
Our Statue of Liberty says, "Give us you're tired, you're poor, you're wretched."
Mm-hmm.
My grandpa came from Germany on my dad's side. So I think there has to be a quota. There has to be.
Yeah.
That I agree with. And there's got to be a better way to do it. I totally agree with that. I just don't know. I think as we speak, they're getting their heads together to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about barbed wire and buoys.
Right.
It's not about, no, that's
Yeah.
wrong.
Well, and like I said, I feel like I think that there's going to need to be some bipartisan action taking place.
Well, Kerry says 3 million migrants have crossed the border. Cities can't handle them all. Kerry, I think you're wrong on that. I think it's even more than 3 million. I really do.
Yeah.
And the problem is all these governors like Abbott and DeSantis are putting them on buses, but notice where they're sending them, to sanctuary cities or Democratic cities like Chicago, New York, any Democratic city. Well, then why aren't you sending them to some Republican cities if you're going to bus them away?
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it because to make it look bad for the Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, these, I think we really need to reform our immigration system. And I do see that immigration reform will happen. I predict that it will happen.
Yeah. It's going to take some time, but I do feel like there's some action to kind of mitigate everything. It feels more like next year, maybe like spring of next year. So I do feel like there's some bipartisanship work, but it's really going to take a lot of resources from the U.S. to Mexico and a lot of these Central America cities to get this all cleaned out. Always have strength, and Joy says it was part of the Republican deal in order to fund Ukraine to put money into the wall.
Well, okay. So you know what? Ukraine needs funding, because if not, you can't have Russia taking over Ukraine. Then they can march in everywhere. So Russia will not win this war. They got themselves into a Vietnam, and they will not win. The Ukrainians will not give up.
Yeah. But I see some resources and something happening with that.
So do I. Absolutely.
All right. We've been on for an hour, so maybe try to get to just a couple more.
Got a lot done.
We have a lot going on. I'm sure we probably missed half of the news cycle because I can't keep track of everything.
You know what? It's just woo,
Lori says, do your guides have any predictions for continued funding for Ukraine? It seems unthinkable they would leave Ukraine so vulnerable, but here we are. Yeah, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. I do feel eventually we'll get Ukraine funding, but it does feel like in the meantime, while we have a mess going on, that other NATO countries coming in and kind of doing a little bit more than what they normally do, just because things are in disarray here. But also, Biden's doing some stuff behind the scenes to get more resources out there. But we will get the funding bill passed. I
As
think it will be part of the budget, but like I said, I feel like there might be a short shutdown.
as we speak, Biden is working behind the scenes to get funding
Yeah.
from NATO, funding from European Union, all of this and all of that, working out trade agreements in order to make that happen. That's what
Hmm.
that's what I see. Can we
Yeah.
just do this one? I love this
Yeah.
one.
Pull it
I
up.
know the answer to it, but
What trouble do you think Trump will continue to inflict when he's on the other side?
well, he's going to stay earthbound and float around in nothingness for a very, very long time. That's what my guides tell me.
Yeah.
We'll be in
You know,
between.
it's hard though too because, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I do feel like there's definitely some earthbound spirit energy that, or if he does cross over, he's like in the very low dimensions of heaven, which you could maybe call earthbound. But you know, even though he's an awful person and is done a lot of terrible things and is very hateful and all of that, Trump has a purpose. It's really for us, it's a wake up call that we need so that we can move on past a lot of things that have been hidden under the scenes. So he does have his purpose, even if he's not a good person. So he's accomplishing his lessons
I
too.
agree. I agree that it's a wake up call. I really do. It's a wake up call to alert us all about how precious our democracy really is
Yeah,
and how we shouldn't take it for granted. And that when people come along saying they're giving us personal freedoms and they're taking them away under the guise of playing on bigotry, xenophobia, and all of that, it's a wake up lesson. And it's a wake up lesson for us not to be complacent.
yeah.
All right.
Well,
So
let's just be thankful too that it was Trump who has the IQ of a snail, and not somebody that was actually really smart and capable of destroying our democracy.
well, that's true, but Trump almost did. Look what he did in 4 years.
Right? No,
What
I
he
agree.
didn't do in 4 years.
But it's also like you said, it kind of goes with this rebuilding, um, putting it's a revamp of our constitution and putting regulations in that are needed that weren't there. So ultimately, it's for the good, but it's not easy right now, and it's a very trying time. But I mean, he has his purpose in with that too. So
Can we just do one more here? This one's
yeah.
good.
Will the media ever recognize that 45 is a full blown, bona fide, honest to goodness psychopath?
Well, psychopathy or sociopathy or anti-personality disorder is a psychological diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's a psychiatric diagnosis. In order for that to happen, he would have to be diagnosed with that. But then in order to make that public, if any doctor ever did, that would be violation of Trump's right to privacy laws. And, he's still protected under the Constitution. I don't think it'll ever come out that he's been diagnosed as a sociopath, but yet it's something that we all know. And I think there will be a lot of psychologists and people speculating that he is.
Oh, like his niece, Mary Trump. She's been out there and kind
Correct.
of shared some of the diagnoses there.
Well, she
Or
said
her
he's a
diagnosis.
narcissist, right? But
Yeah.
all right.
But I don't see. I agree. I feel like even with Fox News, behind the scenes, they all know how crazy Trump is. But you know what? It's all they care about is ratings. So if the media could really put a big stop to giving him so much attention and airways, and he wouldn't have the power and influence that he has. But they like their ratings. They like to the fear bait and get people all scared, so they watch the news all day. So I think they're almost as much to blame as Trump doing it.
Yeah, but
They're giving him a platform in the audience to do it.
with all the lawsuits coming against them, even their own board of directors suing them,
Mm-hmm.
I see them becoming more center at some point.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to stop for tonight. What do you think?
Kevin, we got a lot done.
We did. A lot to talk about. And I'm sure when you're back from Italy, I'm sure we'll probably won't even keep track of the stuff between now and next week.
I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
I'll come back with what?
Right. Come back to all the chaos, right?
I'll be calling you, Linda Grindle, saying, okay, what's going on? Okay,
All
Kevin.
right. Well,
Well,
again,
I'm moving Monday, so next week, no, and then 9 days from Monday would be.
I think you come back the Wednesday before, so that's why I said you're feeling up to it because
We'll
I
do
know
it. I'll be
that's
ready.
going to be a long trip if there's jet lag
I'll take a
with
lot of
that.
notes. But when you take notes, they'll probably change from day to day.
Right.
But you know what? I'll be able to report on what's going on in Europe and what they think about, or at least in Italy, and what they think about tea rump.
Yeah, very true.
And for those of you in Chicago, I'm going to say it again. I've been saying it all along. I see the name taken off Trump Tower.
Mm.
And I really feel they're going to take the T off first
And leave rump.
and just be rump for a while. I mean, it's a joke, but I really see that actually. Well, we shall see.
Thank you for the super chat, Carrie G.
Hi.
All right. So if anybody needs to get a hold of you for a reading, how do they do that, Mel?
You can email me at my website, www.meldoerr.com, or call my office at 847-590-5411. Now, while I'm going to Italy, there'll be somebody that'll pick up calls maybe every third day. So if we don't get back to you right away, don't get nervous. We will return all your calls when we're back in the office. If you want to learn about my trips, you can also call that same number. I'm not going to be doing any active sales on trips when I'm in Europe, that's for sure.
Right?
So
Well,
Kevin,
enjoy it.
get a hold of you.
You can send me an email, kevinlovingvibrations@gmail.com. I do readings in Reiki, or if you just need some guidance or, even some mentoring, send me. We can definitely set something up. I have both of our information in the description box. Please hit that thumbs up. Please go over to Mel's channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Please subscribe to mine. Again, yesterday I posted a giveaway announcement for 9,000 subscribers. So if you want to enter into that, you need to be subscribed. Go into that video and leave a comment starting with reading or Reiki, depending on what you want to be entered, and I'll do the drawing for that next Tuesday.
And it's the same for me. You have to be subscribed to win those, and then the other for the Aloha shirts is for members. Okay. Yeah. Real quick, I went to the doctor yesterday.
Okay.
I had my first CAT scan since I had my surgery, and it came back free of cancer. It came back, it didn't show anything.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my doctor, she did a complete exam. She put the little tubey thingy in there.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's my best friend. And she said, "Well, I can't believe how incredible well you're doing." So just a progress report.
Well, thank you for sharing, and the wonderful news. I'm sure all of the prayers and healing that were sent your way, it just makes a total difference, doesn't it?
I told her that, and she said, "It's amazing how quickly you've recovered." I said, "Well, I had a lot of love and support and a lot of healing energy and prayers. So I'm eternally grateful to you, Kevin Lewis, Linda Grindle, the community, the fundraiser thing, and to all of our supporters who have been so kind and so generous and so wonderful." So
yeah. I just recently last week I did a bit of a live Reiki session and followed with a prayer circle, just because so many people have been reaching out for Reiki or needing healing, or just the energy so crazy right now. So I think that's something I'm going to try to continue to put on the channel, like maybe once a month. Or
Kevin is very good at Reiki. He's very good at his reading, so check it out. And remember, everybody, let the fear get behind you and push you forward. Don't let it stand in front of you and hold you back.
Yeah, and breathe. Try to stay grounded and nice and aligned during all the chaos.
Yeah,
turn off the news if you feel
put it back up on the shelf like James Corden.
Right. Take a break from the news if you need to for a little bit, and just kind of take a step back. And for myself, I feel like the best way to recharge is just to spend time in nature and just to breathe in that fresh air. So.
I agree. I watch cooking shows on YouTube.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah.
I love to cook.
Me too.
I haven't been cooking as much lately, and now it feels like I'm just busy, and now I have to worry about all the dishes after I'm done, which I really hate. So I haven't been cooking a whole lot lately, but I've often wondered about posting some cooking videos too, sharing.
Yeah, let's do one. I'll do it. I've been kind of busy too, but I cook. Well, I've been ordering out a lot. We had taco salad, but especially when I'm doing YouTube. But when I'm in the kitchen, I put police line, do not cross. Gary's cousin gave me that. Not for real, but stay out of my kitchen. And then, once we eat, Gary puts the dishes in the dishwasher and takes care of that. And so it's a nice arrangement,
Yeah, that works out well for you.
Plus, he likes my cooking. What can I say?
Right.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, we will see you all in Mel will join us on
and
Mel's
I gained back 5 pounds.
Okay. I'll be on Mel's channel in a couple weeks, so there'll be a week or two hiatus, but I'll be back on his channel, and I have a lot of exciting content and collaborations coming up in the next few weeks, so
yay!
Make sure to check those out. Sending you all a lot of love, and see you real soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.